There was a lot, especially in that sewing challenge that you didn't see. Hey y'all, it's me, Jonbers Blonde, and welcome back to Hot or Hot. And today I'll be reviewing episode 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the World Series 2. Our queens were challenged to work in teams to create an advertisement for a unique drag race themed immersive experience. Whatever that means. And the runway category was Reveal Yourself. Reveals. So we'll be going queen by queen to break all of that down, as well as covering some drama surrounding the newly announced UK Winners Tour, and ending with a look at an interview that Jonbers did with Pink News, where she claims a lot of rules were broken when UK vs. the World Series 2 was filming, allegedly. And first up, the Winner's Circle drama. So in the official announcement, where we see that tickets go on sale Friday 23rd, February 2024, we also see 4 previous winners of Drag Race UK, notably missing the Vivienne and Blue Hydrangea. The Vivienne's explanation for her absence on this tour is that she's #booked, blessed, and busy. And she said this regarding those commitments.
Unfortunately, I couldn't do it because time just would not allow. I'm currently on tour with Wizard of Oz. I then have my solo tour. I then go to Australia to tour. I'm then touring until May 2025. So I don't have a moment to do anything else. Gutted I can't do it, but huge congratulations to all the girls. You're going to have the best time. So yeah, let's just stop all of this. Oh, could Viv not be asked? Oh, what's gone on? Are they not talking? What's happened? It's so boring.
And we also saw queens like Lawrence address this directly in posts about the Winners Tour, where she said, "Sad, poor Vivienne isn't joining us. She has other commitments and I'm sending her love." But the reason for Blue Hydrangea's absence is seemingly a little less glamorous. Somebody responded to Lawrence's tweet announcing the Winners Tour, writing, "Okay, Vivienne has other commitments, but where is Blue Hydrangea?" And Blue directly responded to this, writing, "I wasn't asked, but nonetheless support your queens." So that's that, which obviously sucks for Blue and really any future winner of a franchise, I think, like Drag Race UK versus the World, because when we're not seeing them integrated into these tours where they're calling other queens winners, it's almost intentionally separating them into, I think, a category that is like different than, or just, you know, not the same level of winning, I guess, as like a main OG season. And if we're seeing this type of exclusionary stuff happening with tours, I'm kind of worried that that could bleed over into future inevitable all winners seasons. Like, are queens like Blue Hydrangea and Raja O'Hara, winner of Canada versus the World, going to be considered winner enough to be invited to those things? Who knows? But I would love to know what y'all think about the apparently different categories of winners that Drag Race now has across the board. And the question being, are they all winners? Are they all really winners? Especially in a world where losing is the new winning. Think about that. And now going queen by queen, first up we've got Scarlet Envy, who's a part of Team Choriza tonight. And even though she wasn't actually this team's captain, it felt like she really took a leading role amongst these 3 queens. In the sketch, she plays the job of eccentric hostess, where she outlines each person's role in the sketch and what they'll be teaching us in terms of getting ready for drag. Makeup with Gothy, lip syncing with Scarlet, and untucked drama with Choriza. And this almost forced eccentric presenter thing that she's doing throughout the sketch could have, I think, felt a little awkward, but she really leans into the camp of it and ultimately comes off as smart, funny, and very organized. Girl, she put that degree in advertising design to work. She was certainly the star of the show, the belle of the ball, and really the best thing about this entire challenge tonight. This was hot. But on the runway, I'm honestly still confused. She came out in a giant white trench coat, which I think really could have gone a lot of different ways. The flasher direction, or like, you know, selling odd items type of thing like we saw Gottmik do on season 13, or just played into the white lab coat skincare sales rep thing that she kind of has going on here. I was really just wanting some kind of bigger concept besides opening the coat to a pretty dress, which is a pretty dress, and the coat lining matching the dress and falling into a train is pretty. It just was, I think, a little bit of a letdown, because we know Scarlet is pretty. We know she has nice dresses, and I think having an element of surprise there would have been really nice. So for the execution, and I think lack of a bigger concept, I'm gonna give this look a rot. Next up, Choriza, who comes into this challenge with a background of nobody on her season winning their green screen challenge. And seemingly in looking for a redemption arc here, she was strategically choosing scene partners like Scarlet, who she knew to be a good actress. Choriza, though, is a very funny queen, and this feels like the type of thing that she would just naturally be good at. And she does indeed deliver on this with a little reference to her talent show number, Inferno, Welcome to the Inferno, where in her sketch, the the Inferno is actually untucked, which is fueled by the sad tears of a drag queen in their cocktail glasses. And I love primarily that she was able to make a branded callback and making a bigger, better, and very meta joke about untucked being held. Choriza's performance tonight was and over on the runway. Girl, consider my shorts eaten. She's giving us a little Marge Simpson for our nerves. Which is totally crazy and kooky, and I think very on brand for the camp fashion of Choriza May. And this is fun for me to see as a follow of her because after her original season, she let us know that the Snatch Game character she wanted to do was Marge Simpson. So this was real full circle. And this is a really fun reference that I think is done pretty well, with the Ruveal component of the brief being she's basically doing a Marge Simpson burlesque show, with the ultimate reveal being a pair of giant yellow coconuts and some blue carpet that matches the drapes, we'll say. Creativity was fun, uniqueness was there, she hit the brief, I liked this was hot. And finally this team, we've got Gothy Kendoll, who was picked last and kind of ended up on this team by accident. But I love that she's got a positive attitude about this, sort of explaining, oh, of course, like they don't know how I'm gonna perform in a challenge like this. It makes sense that I would be chosen last. And I just love that she's happy to be there and happy to have the experience of Drag Race, cause like for real, this is like her first run through Drag Race. And honestly, she's doing pretty good. In the challenge, her role is to perform the makeup and visual transformation of our Brit crew that are going through, I guess we'll call it, I don't know, Scarlet and V's School of Drag. And her method of transformation here is through doing a mukake, we'll say, which is a pun on a word that I can't say. And Michelle was kind of right about this joke in rehearsals. It's a very obvious and cliched thing, I think, to do on Drag Race, but it ultimately doesn't matter because her team sketch is so well designed and laid out. Plus she's got this, I don't know, like stale kind of delivery of the lines that actually make it really funny. And it might have been nice to see her have a few more lines. She was pretty quiet, but that's on brand. And hey, at least she looks pretty. So we're gonna give her a safe hot here. And over on the runway, she is giving us 60s Valley of the Dolls and is, as RuPaul calls out, looking very Lady Bunny in that giant blonde hair. And this first dress she has on is so gorgeous. I love the way she's used that quilted fabric material to create the baby doll dress with all the pink details on the hem and stuff. Super cute. Super cute, bro. Super cute, bro. And for as cute as the first part of her look is, the second part is as weird. She has baby doll heads on the chest piece of this sculpted muscle bodice, kind of giving me some like Scaparelli inspo vibes. And overall, I just love how weird and cool and a little unsettling this look is. Rawr, this look is hot. And next up from Team Keta Minaj, we've got Tia Kofi, who in the challenge, like Scarlet, very much takes the leading role and ties all the different pieces together here. The premise of this sketch being we'll be using Glamazonian airways to travel around the world to find out how drag is done in those parts, as narrated by Tia Kofi. And she sets up the individual part of her sketch almost like a stand-up routine where she's making self-deprecating jokes about her prior run on Drag Race and all the missteps and mishaps she had, referencing things like RuPaul's no more H&M comment, her pterodactyl dress, and also her adequate dress. And I love that she was able to make fun of herself and the show in a very funny way. Plus she really was the glue and most understandable thing about her group. So this performance for me gets a And over the runway, Tia is serving 3 RuPaul looks in one. The first, that white geometric dress from the season 9 promo, which reveals into the orange and red Supermodel of the World album cover, which finally reveals into a look from the Vanity Fair magazine cover 2019-2022 holiday season featuring Mother herself. And firstly, I'll say emulating RuPaul is not an easy thing to do. This is somebody with extremely expensive gowns, great hairstylists, and possibly one of the best drag makeup artists in the world doing her face, which is to say, if you're gonna do Ru, it needs to be damn good. And this was okay. It was just okay. The biggest issue I had with Tia's looks across the 3 were the wigs. None of them were quite styled well enough to really be, I think, RuPaul worthy. But from a distance, like if we don't zoom in too much, she very clearly is doing Ru. I just think she was a little overambitious, and she probably could have done a lot better if she focused on more details in just 2 looks instead of trying to do 3. Like there was so much going on with the different reveals and styles of looks that Tia looked a little disheveled by the end of the runway. But I did ultimately enjoy the journey Tia took us on, so I'd give this overall presentation a warming up. And next up, get ready for some Ketamorphosis. whatever that is. So in the challenge, I don't know what she's doing here. She's like squirting paint onto an empty canvas with some of the Brit crew members. And truly nothing is explained in what she's doing here. It kind of, I think, is just a peek into the mind of chaos inside of her head. Because with those intro, outro, wavy transitions where she's saying Ketamorphosis, I think maybe she was trying to signify like a dream sequence or something that maybe didn't totally translate into the final sketch. Plus what she did was also totally disconnected from the idea of seeing how drag is done around the globe. Like there really wasn't anything about this unique to Holland besides feeding the Brit crew member the stroopwafel at the end of her part. So was I entertained? Yes. But was this, I think, a good contribution to her group? Maybe not. So I would give this like a soft rot. And over on the runway, she is giving us a business casual dress code with some shoulders that are all hunched up around her head. And I immediately thought of the Victor and Rolf runway where they did exactly that in all kinds of looks. And I always love a good power suit on a drag queen. And I think Keta looks really powerful in her power suit. Plus the final reveal into this gothy spooky blue witch is really gorgeous. What I didn't like though were the intermediary steps between these two looks. There's just a lot of cumbersome things happening, like with the big tie coming off to reveal the smaller tie, and then pieces of the suit kind of start to unravel like a flower or something. And she tries to sell this intermediary situation as a second look, but it really just looks more like outfit malfunction, and I would have preferred if she had just gone straight into the dress reveal. But I like the main two looks, so I'm gonna give this a. And finally in this team, we have Marina Summers, who is teaching the Brit crew member how to duck walk and catwalk in the rice fields of the Philippines. She also got some funny lines about the Brit crew members' big baggage and is generally, I would say, pretty funny and good at delivering these lines. Plus, unlike Keta's segment, it was very clear what exactly Marina wanted to accomplish in these rice fields, and she did just that. This was hot. And over on the runway, she's giving us a look inspired by all the active volcanoes of the Philippines with a dress that appears to be made of molten lava chunks that she's ripping off as she goes down the runway to reveal these like little lava spurting glittery moments. And the drama, elegance, beauty, silliness of this whole thing all in one package is incredible. Because there's a perfect amount of buildup in this reveal and each part of it is so exciting and visceral. And the way it ends with her just being this beautiful crystallized glamazon bitch ready for the runway. This is the most beautiful piece of lava to ever erupt on the RuPaul's Drag Race main stage. This look is hot. And next up, Le Grand Dame from Team Le Grand Dame, who interestingly, of the three team captains tonight, was the only team captain to actually play a leading role in their group. But the problem with this group sketch is there really is no clear direction or overarching objective. It's just sort of three queens doing a personality showcase, I suppose, wrapped up in what we're calling a drag race experience. And their advertisement starts off with the Grande Dame talking about fashion and how she wants to show us her references for fashion so we can see where she came from. She then does some bits where she's acting as Jean-Paul Gaultier and Kevin Lagerfeld, where in the segment where she's parodying Carl, she's kind of just mumbling nonsense. And she does get critiqued for coming off as unintelligible in this sketch, but that was also kind of the point. And honestly, considered by herself in a vacuum, like her sketch was entertaining and actually pretty funny. But she was here kind of funny at the expense of her teammates. She didn't connect any of the other queens' ideas to her own. And so the final sketch product was just really confusing and incoherent. And as team captain, she either should have been the one to lead the way on designing all of this in an understandable manner, or she should have nominated someone capable of doing that. So yeah, on her own, this was funny enough. I would give this a hot, but as part of a team player, no, this was a rot. And for her runway, we got another problematic for YouTube monetization queen. She's giving us a take on like a Miss World pageantry competition look in an all-white gown, and the reveal is that when a certain part of her dress becomes wet, there's a pun on the phrase world peace. And this look was, from a theatrical standpoint, I think one of the more interesting reveals tonight, and certainly one of the more unique ones across every reveal runway we've ever seen. Like liquid activated words on dresses? Rue, I never. Plus she looks gorgeous soaking wet. So grab your diaper. This look is hot. Next up, we've got Hannah Conda, who comes to this challenge with a little bit of experience winning in the green screen challenge of Down Under, where you'll remember she fought fought off a giant swan amongst other activities. And we see her definitely reaching into that reference pile of ludicrous, nonsensical comedy, because her entire segment is pretty much her laughing at the different props on the set with the sheep and then throwing the parrot. And she is, I think, also like selling this as a service you could call in and get. And it is, yes, just complete nonsense, but that's also very on brand for her sense of humor. And like, even if you didn't think what she was doing was actually funny, you were probably laughing anyways because she was laughing so much. But I would give this a safe hot. I was entertained. And over on the runway, she is giving some high Pope drag in a very obvious Pope reveal religious outfit, with her reveal being that, oh, she's actually a drag queen in a very like showgirls-esque Vegas-y kind of look. And Hannah was a case for me on the runway where I did like the idea of what she was doing, playing with a religious conservative figure, revealing into something scandalous, like a drag queen. And both of the looks were solid. But she was missing, I think, some small thread to connect these two looks. She's got the shock factor concept down, but I think having some matching color story between these two looks might have even helped with the delivery of a coherent theme. On the other hand, I do like that she didn't try to do too much, and there were no awkward intermediary steps that she tried to pass off as their own look. So all things considered, I'm gonna give this a hot. And finally, Jonbers Blonde, who in the challenge has, I think, the most confusing and incoherent sketch out of anyone. Which is crazy because she also has some of the most lines out of anyone tonight. And remember, by the time we get to Jonbers in this sketch, we're already so confused about everything going on. And then we have her talking about how she wants to have a patty party, and she's giving this like almost TED Talk style of presentation where she's listing off 3 rules that you have to know to have a patty party, which transitions into a segment in which she says, no, you're not having a stroke, we just eat carbs down here. There's a stuffed dog, and then she's also giving Irish lessons in another room of this bar, and it really was all just a dizzying mess, and this whole group could have used some editing and I think peer review in the writing room, because the thing with Jonbers is, I think she is a really funny queen, and it's clear the judges think so too, but I think she was maybe relying on that rapport she has with the judges a little too much. So this was a rot, but over on the runway, she brings some Irish pride in a pastel rainbow gown, which is beautiful on its own, and I wish she would have given it a little more time on the runway before she ripped it off. But I get that she was super excited to do this reveal because the reveal look is gorgeous. She is quite literally the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. The storyline in the reveal, genius. Because, you know, it is self-branded and also just so gorgeous. This final look is seriously beautiful. Even Ru and Michelle are like both saying, I would wear that. I'm like, girl, I would wear that. This was definitely hot. And concerning placements for this episode, we've got Keta Minaj and Jonbers in the bottom. And Jonbers there didn't surprise me. That was obvious. But Keta's placement kind of did because her group's sketch was, I think, the second best. And it felt to me the more fair placement would be Grande in the bottom for her failure as team captain to deliver a coherent sketch. But the queens are being judged individually, and I can see where they're coming from there, considering Keta's sketch worse than Grande's. The top 2 though, Tia Kofi and Scarlet Envy, I really had no issue with. These are the same tops I would have picked. And both of these queens, despite not actually being team captain, displayed such a clear leadership for their group and really were the reasons their group's overall advertisements were successful. But concerning their lip sync, well, y'all know I did react to this over on my Patreon at patreon.com/BussyQueen. That's my members only website where my patrons can get access to tons of exclusive reaction videos where I not only react to the episodes I'm reviewing, but also give some fun little life behind the scenes updates. I'm actually thinking about moving. I've got to do something I think a little more interesting and challenging for myself creatively. And that's what we call the patron privilege. But seriously, my patrons make my channel possible, and I just want to say thank you to all of you who subscribe over on Patreon. And if you're not already there, then you too can join by clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. This lip sync though was a very clear Scarlet Envy win. She really ate this episode up. It was her moment. The runway was maybe a little bit of a miss, but everything else was solid. And it felt so fulfilling to not only watch her succeed, but also get the recognition that she really deserved this episode. And she really did kill that lip sync. And Tia did good, but I think she had some issues throughout the performance where she maybe didn't know what to do or was spending a little too much time in the back of the stage. So Scarlet rightly wins, and she ends up revealing that she's got Jonbers lipstick. And the edit of the episode feels like they're trying to play this off as some sort of controversial decision she made here, but to me, sending Jonbers home felt like the most fair choice. Despite Scarlet starting this whole episode off with talking about how she's gonna send home the strongest competition. Because I think if she was going to do that, she probably would have sent home the queen who was in the top the week before, Keta. But maybe that's controversial, I don't know. I felt really confused when I was watching the episode in the Untouched segment where all the queens pretty much all said that they would send home Keta instead of Jonbers. I was like, literally, how is that fair? It felt like Jonbers had the worst sketch and Keta did better last week. Like, going on track record, Keta should stay. But Pink News did release an exclusive interview with Jonbers Blonde where she shared some more perspective on her elimination and the situation as a whole. And in this interview, Jonbers suggests Scarlet considered her bigger competition than Keta, saying this: I had a target on my back. I didn't do the worst in this challenge, and if we're talking track record, I'm previous finalist from Drag Race UK Season 4. So especially being the only UK queen from this cast who has ever been in the final of a UK season, I think Scarlet knew I was good. And when asked how she knows she didn't do the worst in the challenge, Jonbers says, I don't want to say things that haven't been shown because it's out of context, but there were negative critiques that were said to other people that didn't get said to me. Other people got worse things said to them. There was also an extra strategic layer to her elimination, Jonbers claims. We knew Snatch Game was right around the corner, and after this challenge, I knew I was going to be in the top for Snatch Game. So they were like, we're going to get her out. And as an aside, I'll note that while Jonbers was great in her original Snatch Game from UK Season 4, Keta Minaj, who's up there on the elimination chopping block right next to her, actually won her Snatch Game on Drag Race Holland. So we're not totally following that logic, but she also says, there's a lot I could say, but it's not going to change anything. There was a lot, especially in that sewing challenge that you didn't see. Every challenge is given rules, and a lot of those rules were broken, she states. She adds, I also would have liked you to see RuPaul tell me I should be the host of Drag Race Ireland from this episode. And concerning her elimination, she says, I'm being eliminated by a drag queen, but not Mama Ru. All of those other girls have been. Scarlet has been eliminated twice. And concerning who she thinks should win the crown this season, she actually picks Hannah Conda. So that's that. And personally, I'm really curious about all of the rules that were supposedly broken. Obviously, she can't elaborate because of NDA situations, and I'm not trying to be too shady, but I do think the queens at this point know there is maybe more value in saying, I can't say something because of X, Y, and Z, than there is in actually saying something of any substance. And that's drag. And now for Hottest Hots. On the runway, I'm gonna give it to Marina Summers, and in the challenge, Scarlet Envy. I, of course, also asked my patrons to vote on their Hottest Hots, and this week they've chosen Marina Summers on the runway and Scarlet Envy in the challenge. And finally, I want to say thanks for watching today's video and give an extra special shout out to Ashley Brungart, Child Free Mateau, Dorothy Hall, Felicia, Laura, Matthew Burns, Sexy Winnie the Pooh, Skylar Schrock, Stephen Topher, and Will and Tana, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collector tier at patreon.com. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye.